Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. To understand where we're going, we need to know where we came from. So today I thought I would show you some satellite images, time-lapse from 1995 to 2023 of the entire site where Giga-Texas would eventually be built. And it'll flash by about 1 second per satellite view, and I'll point out a few of the highlights. You'll see the outline of Giga-Texas, and here in 1995, this is how it looked. In 2002, they started building the Sandhill Power Plant on the south end of the Colorado River. 2005, the beginnings of that big central road. There was a lot of sand and gravel mine throughout these years, all the way up to about 2017 or so when that stopped. And then when we get to 2020, this is when Giga-Texas started construction. And you'll be able to see that very clearly here with the main factory. Now I'll go through one more time at a really quick pace so you can just get an appreciation for the changes of the site. The amount of change in this area over about 30 years and what became Giga-Texas is truly remarkable. Speaking of changes, a major development is underway now across the highway, and this map gives you a good idea of where that is located. This is what it looks like right now, and this is as of my flight on the 2nd of August. You can see a lot of development. This is what it looks like from Giga-Texas. Looking across the highway, you can even see downtown Austin in this image. And here's a close-in view of some of the trenching, the footing excavation, and even some of the rebar and plumbing that is going on. So let's discuss what this is for. To help answer this question, I went to the City of Austin permit site, and I found the permit that is appropriate for this construction project. You can see the link at the bottom of the screen. It's in the video description as well. Now, this was filed on the 25th of July, 2023. It's for the end-of-line building, which will be about 157,400 square feet, or about 14,623 square meters. It'll have a 1,000-gallon grease trap. It also has sanitary, storm, and domestic cold water piping systems that will be installed, and we're seeing actually some of that right now. Now, in addition to that, I have an on-site source that is very reliable, and he told me that he wanted to add that this is in fact the end-of-line location. The end-of-line has actually moved several different times throughout the construction of Giga-Texas. And although he mentions that this was unconfirmed, he's heard it with several different people that are knowledgeable positions that know otherwise, and it looks like it is definitely shaping up. And with the permit, I think this really gives us a clue of what is going on this side of the highway. Now, to help put this in more context, here's an image I got from Google Earth. We'll start on the left-hand side. You can see that outline that I did, approximately the square footage, and where that new structure is under construction right now. Next to it in that blue area is where that new car staging and transportation lot will be. Now, you may wonder where those are currently. As we pan over to the right, you can see where the current location is for the new car staging and transportation lot. Also, they have the testing, calibration, and supercharging lot nearby there. And then on the left-hand side, which is the west side of General Assembly, that's where the current end-of-line location is. So you can see how this will combine some disparate locations into one very nicely centrally located location. And here's a few images from my flight on the 2nd of August. You can see that end-of-line structure where the construction is underway right now, and the new car staging and transportation lot nearby. And this particular image, you can see again where that construction is going on. And across the road, I've given you that indication of where the current end-of-line location and exit from the building is located. This is from the north looking to the south. You can see that central north-south road that's under construction, and this is going to provide access and also connects River Road to the south and Tesla Road to the north. And then here, this is the overall look of the site right now. See the West Warehouse on Wheels yard, the contractor parking lot, materials staging, which is very busy, and then this new construction site in the middle of the screen. So there you have it. We looked at over 30 years of changes at the site that would eventually become Giga-Texas. And also, I hope this puts into context many of the other construction projects that are going on or future construction projects that will be going on here at the site. and just appreciate all the change that has been happening in this area. I hope that you found this discussion interesting and helpful. And so let's get into the drone and see what Giga-Texas looks like today. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Well, good morning from the south part of Giga-Texas, looking across the highway at a higher altitude than normal. I had a request to fly this high just to get a good view of this west side and how the construction and all the changes are going. So I hope that you enjoy these higher altitude views of this side. The warehouse and wheels are directly in front of us. You can see the new end-of-line building and the new car transportation and pickup lot, and also the material staging onto the left. And also in the clouds in the background is downtown Austin. Now, I'm using a brand new drone today, so I was learning a little of the capabilities of the drone as I went along, so you'll notice that it may not be completely smooth initially, but it will smooth out throughout the video. But we'll start off here where the rebar cages are being made for the footings for that end-of-line structure. You see a lot more rebar waiting for that construction as well. And then here's a really good view lower down of this structure and this clearing where they're doing all of the footing excavation. Actually, a lot of plumbing is going in right now, and you'll see that all throughout the site. And as fast as the excavations for the footings are being made, the rebar cages are being flowed right in. So the progress here is absolutely just amazing and tremendous, and it just shows how quickly this work is going on. As you can see, they're excavating a footing on the left, and they're already putting the rebar cages in on the right. And I don't know what to say compared to even the very fast progress at other projects around Giga-Texas. This is going at breakneck speed. You can also see the clearing section where the earth movers are. That's going to be the new car transportation and staging lot, and it's really coming along quickly as well. More earthwork in the distance in the upper left and up by where that material staging yard is located. But as I mentioned, plumbing is going in just as fast as the rebar for the footings, and the shape of this structure is really starting to emerge, even though it only started just a few days ago. Here's a zoom in so you can get a chance to see the concrete being poured for the footings, the rebar cages, and the plumbing again. I don't know what else to say other than this is just moving along at amazing speed. So I'll give you some different views here. I'll climb back up and just give you an overall view of this west side and how it continues to transform, and then we'll resume the narration on the other side of the highway. So I hope you enjoyed these views. I hope you enjoyed those views on the west side of the highway. We've now returned to the east side of the highway on the west side of the main factory. And as I fly along this side, I'll stop here where these two tents are. You can see that black ramp going inside, some of the lights inside as well. This is the current location for end of line. The cars exit here, then move over to the east side for the testing, calibration, and new car transportation lot. All of that's going to be combined together on that facility on the west side. Here's a good close-in view of the work that's ongoing with the stainless steel cladding on the steel beams and columns for this west main entrance. Looks like more of the materials have been delivered and the crews are preparing for more of the installation. Also, some of those trays that you see along the tops, those are going to be for lighting elements as well. And once this is completed, it should be very cool to see when it's lit up at night and the reflections in the window. The materials here are still waiting to be moved inside for the assembly lines that are being put together inside, and mostly coming to a conclusion, at least right now, with all of the materials that have been on this side. Now, there are continuing to be deliveries. You can see one here from this truck and that forklift unloading some more of these items. Not really clear what these are, but it just continues, and the work inside is just continuing at a frenetic pace as Cybertruck production continues to ramp up from the very small initial production so far. And speaking of which, if you look later on at 28:38 on the timestamps, you'll get a chance to see a production Cybertruck over on the east side. Now here what we're seeing is the well next to it, the windows that have been removed, the crane that is actively or has been removing the wall panels, and all the plastic is now covering the section that has had the wall panels removed. And this is a good view of how it looks right now. Now, that plastic is definitely temporary, and with the winds that we get here at Texas, I don't think it's going to last that long, but they're at least trying to keep the inside clean while the wall panels are removed. I'm going to zoom in here. You get a good chance to see how it looks like up close. Looks like there's some welding going on. They're actually filling in with steel beams there, the open section that used to extend all the way down from the third floor through the second floor to the ground floor. So more changes going on inside that part of the building as well. And I'll turn around and give you a good look at the rest of the south end of the building. You can see all the windows removed, the plastic on the inside to kind of protect that while the wall panels are down. You can see those temporary wall panels being removed on the left-hand side. And then here, the stamping 2 section, most of the steel on the extension has been installed now. And I'm going to zoom in. You get a chance to see what it looks like inside. Looks like a lot of activity to clean out this section with some of the materials and some of the vehicles. So we'll probably see some additional work there. And you can see the crane is starting to extend, so I'll move out of the way. And then the enclosed section here is where the AIDA and other stamping presses have been installed, assembled, and they are in testing right now. This is a good view across this area at the low level of that intersection. As I've had all the concrete poured, and we see more rebar cages, both cylindrical for the CFA piles and also some more of the square ones for eventual footings. And of course, the drilling operation continues here. Here's a good zoom in of what it looks like right now. They've been putting in piles throughout this entire section, and those eventually will support the footings that will support the columns for the new building. And here, as I pan back, this gives you a good view of just what stamping 2 and the extension looks like right now. And as we continue to fly up, you'll see how the roof decking continues to be applied along the length of that new section and preparing for probably installing some of the weatherproof membrane on that top. Now, as I fly back over the power lines, this gives you a really great view of Giga-Texas, the south end, how it all looks today. The concrete has been poured on this intersection, as I mentioned earlier, and they're starting to progress on the road that heads up to the north. The other part of this will go through the tree line over to the multi-level parking garage. Here's another good view of the white stain that has been installed so far here, working to the north along this side of stamping, and they're almost maybe another 3 or 4 wall panel widths away from getting to where the body in white portion of the building is located. And of course, a lot of the activity with materials on this side of the factory as well. Now, as I pull away, I want to try to give you some really good views of the activity going on here where the clearings are. This is in the area where the multi-level parking garage will be built. One of the things that's of interest is that they've been doing a lot of work on this section here next to the water to prepare this kind of graded section. And it also looks like there's work going on in and around this, what they call the outfall channel. And this is where the water would come out of that sedimentation basin that you see at the upper part of the screen next to those trailers. And it would drain into this pond on the left. It looks like that may be in the process of being redirected, probably on this kind of L shape around near where the tree belt is located. And that may be so that they can put the whole section into like a square and build the parking garage in that section. So we are probably seeing that sedimentation basin being redirected. You can see some of the depression here at the bottom of the screen, and more of the earthwork in and around that area as well. Also, where the excavator is where that road that I mentioned will go through the tree lines over to River Road. There's also this kind of a tree line section with planted trees connecting over to here. That's interesting to watch. And of course, this is the recycling yard. And with this new drone and the new capabilities, I'll give you some views of that area a little closer and higher detail than I have been in the past. So I'll continue to pull away towards the north and the east, give you a good look at this side of the site, the east warehouse on wheels with all of those trailers, and also the workshops and materials here at the bottom of the screen, that overflow parking lot for the employees. And now we're at the battery cathode plant, and a lot of details, and I think the new capabilities with the drone will really be useful here, as you can see. We'll start off here on the left-hand side. You can see those two items that are on the rail. Those are what we saw being delivered 2 days ago. Now they've been stacked together. They're on that rail system. It looks like the crane is preparing for probably more materials, more of these platforms and equipment items, and then they will stack that up on top, and eventually that will be, as one big assembly, moved into that part of the building. And you can see some other parts, the red and the white nearby, which are most likely related to that. Here at the crash test track, we can see at the bottom left the moisture barrier for rebar and another foundation. We can see here the rebar where the workers are. This is that underground vault, which is most likely going to be the equipment room that will have the cable that goes through that trench to pull the trolley and the cars for testing. This rounded top, almost like a Quonset top, is continuing to expand to the south, and you can see on the wall the mounts and how much farther that roof section has to go. And it is really starting to enclose this entire section. We also see a new structure here on the north end, kind of over that pit or that trench down the middle. And this gives you a good look at how this appears today. And then, of course, looking back towards that rounded top section and how this entire test track, the crash test track, is starting to shape up. Also, a lot of details nearby that structure over by the battery cathode plant as well. And I think these views really give you a chance to see that. Also, the wade pit. It looks like all of the concrete has been poured for the walls. The forms are being removed, and there's trenching that's going on both sides. There's also some pipes that are sticking out of the walls next to where that worker and the excavation is going on. That's kind of an interesting development, and you can see on the inside what it looks like where those pipes are. So not sure exactly what that is, but here's a close-in view. We also see work going on the left-hand side with what I think is part of the drainage system for this wade pit. And also there's excavation work going on near the cell test lab on the left-hand side. That's where the underground steel corrugated pipe is being put in for the rainwater management system. And then here on the north side, this is where the hill used to be. Now it's becoming a deep depression. And it looks like there's a lot of earthwork continuing, excavation, filling up the center dump trucks. Those are going over to the west side where we saw that earthwork and construction going on the other side of the highway. And again, why they're making this big depression, I don't know, but it's definitely something to monitor. All of the equipment, the stainless steel tanks, and other workshops here on the north end, and the grid view on what the left-hand side or the east side of the cathode plant looks today. Here on the north, we can see that they're working on the load leveler system for the receiving doors. You can see those kind of excavations underneath the 5 doors. Of course, they're also putting in some plumbing at the base of those doors to help with draining out some of the water. And you can see some of those pipes sticking up. The entire west side is very active as well. They've been widening this section considerably. You can see some of that on the right-hand side of the screen. And they've also been just doing some general cleanup here as well, possibly because they've been installing so much of the items. The tree on the left has now got a fence around it. I don't know if that's presaging that it's going to be relocated at some point or if they're just protecting it for right now. The chiller plant continues to have quite a bit of work going on, especially on the ground floors. You can see some of those blue pipes on the left. We also see those green cones. Those are the first time that I've seen attached to those pipes. So they're doing some sort of testing or evacuation through the pipes that have been installed. And again, a lot of work going on. We can see 3 more tanks on the right-hand side on the ground waiting for installation. Another very large white tank here on this concrete pad, and also work going on at the bottom of the screen in the center where the crews are installing all the wires through the conduit that has been installed throughout this section, reaching all the way over to where the new electrical switch yard is located. And you also see some more work here with those crews. So electrical wires for providing electricity for all of these complexes is really coming along. The TKS paint system, this is how it looks today. Another one of those large dip tank items has just been delivered by that truck. And then here, where the old housing unit used to be, is just being used as staging for delivery trucks right now. The temporary offices for Tesla are those trailers that just went off to the right. And now we're approaching the Megapack site on the left, the temporary electrical switch yard in the middle, and the new permanent switch yard at the top of the screen. And I think this is a really good view of how this looks today. And we'll just come in and take a look at the work that's going on with this underground concrete vault. And this is where the electrical wires through the conduit that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen going over to the Megapacks will come in, and then you can see the kind of that white trailer control room. There will be more of those on top of this structure as they finish up the roof section. You see all the workers and that kind of raised smaller rectangular section. That's going to be an opening, and that's where another one of those trailers is going to be mounted, and the wires are going to go up through there. So we're most likely going to see 1, maybe 2 more of those constructed as they finish up putting the forms and pour the roof section for this vault. And as I pan the drone up, this is a really good view of the orientation of this vault, the conduit, and the Megapack site, and a lot of activity going on in the north part of the Megapack site for some of the electrical connections. And we'll see that here shortly. But I wanted to start first on the north end here, because if you look down on the ground, there's trench work that is underway. And it extends all the way over to the north part of the Megapack site, and it will extend all the way over here. You can see some trench work on the left-hand side, all the conduit going in here. And this is going to be what connects the electrical power from the switch yard over to the Megapack, at least on this side of this installation. As we fly up over the power lines, I'll bring the drone down and give you a good look at the trench work that's going on for the conduit here at the bottom of the screen, and also see some of the circuit breakers on the right-hand side of the screen waiting for installation. And as we pass over these steel components that have been installed for the north part of this Megapack site, we can see the large transformer has been slid into place. There's a correction. In my previous video, I said that they were going to crane it over. They actually just used rails and they slid it over, and so you can see it's resting on that pad. The upper left-hand corner of the screen, you can see that tank. That's the tank that will have the oil that is used to cool that transformer. And then you can see some more of those square circuit breakers that have been mounted on those smaller concrete pads. There's 2 more on the left, and those are for the circuit breakers we saw waiting on the right-hand side of the screen. As I fly through the post, this gives you a really good view of the Megapack site itself, all 68 plus the 34 transformers and all the wiring that is going on to connect this together and then eventually allow it to be tested and certified for operation. But that's still going to be some time. There's some other items that need to be installed as well. Now as we approach up to Tesla Road, I'll reposition over on this side to give you a good view of this small parking lot, all of the racks for the castings, and this continues to be shuffled around on a daily basis. And then here is some more of the conduit that is being having the wires installed through. You can see some of those there, and that's connecting down to the northeast corner of the cathode structure. And we'll see a closer view of that here in a second. But I wanted to at least start here showing you the steelwork still on the ground, waiting to be moved inside the 4680 production cell portion of the building, and where they're doing some expansion of the production capabilities. And then as we return back here to the northeast corner, as mentioned with the cabling and the conduit, you can see the open vaults at the bottom of the screen. That's where the conduit's coming in and cabling, and it's moving along this berm and this widened apron all the way over to the section where you can see some of those vehicles, and we'll get a closer view of that in a second. But the conduit is taking a 90-degree turn there and moving into the building, and this all connects the switch yard and the factory and all the way over to the battery cathode plant. Here's a good view in. You can see that there's still work going on inside of those 3 receiving doors. Inside there has been some new equipment that's being installed in addition to the gigapresses, so quite a bit of activity there. Lots and lots of the castings waiting on this side. I've had viewers ask, why are they stored outside? I don't know. It's probably just a space and efficiency reason, but this is not the only factory that does that. Fremont and Giga Berlin does it as well. And here's some more castings around this section where they're finishing the plumbing work. On the right-hand side, it looks like those 2 new receiving doors have been completed, and they're just finishing up for concrete there. And then here is a close view of the secondary entrance with that glass kind of a inverted V shape, and you know, a lot of progress there as well. Now here's the big news of the day. I noticed that there was a new Cybertruck here at the Superchargers, and I'll give you a much closer in view. There's a couple things to note here. First, it has plastic on the seats. Second, you can see that it has new vehicle barcode labels, one on the front hood, one on the bumper. There's a one that's hanging off of the rearview mirror on the left-hand side of the vehicle, the door that just got shut. And then there's another one here as well. They're also doing supercharging, so you can get a chance to see how that supercharge system works and how the vehicle fits within a parking space. This is also a great comparison between a Model Y and a Cybertruck as far as the size. And as other people have mentioned, you can get a good sense of the size of the dashboard for the Cybertruck, but also just a lot of other interesting details that is going on here. So with all of that, I think this is a brand new production vehicle. It may still be a release candidate, or it may be one of the very first true production Cybertrucks. Hard to tell for sure, but it's clearly something that is brand new. And as I zoom out, this gives you a good sense of where this was located here at Giga-Texas. And I hope that you enjoyed those views and just getting a chance to see a supercharging Cybertruck, as far as I know, the first time that that has been captured. So very fortunate to be able to see that today. But otherwise, that's been a wide-ranging flight, a lot of activity. As you look over the factory, you can see that West Support Facility and all of that action that we began the video with. And I hope that you enjoyed everything else that we saw along the way. As always, thank you very much for your support. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.